Story time. I'm a vet tech, and one time I was rooming this lady for an appointment with her little dog who was covered in bugs. I searched this dog high and low for bugs, couldn't find a single one. So I said, "Ma'am, can you please point out these bugs to me?" She said, "Oh my gosh, can't you see them? They're right on his belly." She showed me her dog's nipples and proceeded to try to rip them off. I said, "Ma'am, no, stop! Those are his nipples." She said, "There's no way he's a boy." I said, "Ma'am, that doesn't mean he doesn't have nipples. Those are definitely his nipples. Notice how they're so symmetrical." She said, "No, there's no way he's a boy." I said, "Ma'am, doesn't your husband have nipples?"
Tonight I got drinks with my coworker and her best friend and her boyfriend. Boyfriend who's very attractive and kind of gay looking. So, he and I are talking and everyone's talking, we're all chit-chatting, and I bring up the topic of poppers. And then Liz, my friend, my coworker, she goes, "Nope, don't know what poppers." Then the best friend, she goes, "Oh, I know what poppers are. Andrew introduced them to me." And then Andrew looks at me, makes eye contact with me, and just goes, "Yeah." We had a moment of silence for Andrew. A moment of silence for Andrew, everybody. Thank you.
Little kids love my makeup, especially my eye makeup. I'm not sure why, but they love it. They always get so thrilled. And in the Target self-checkout line, there was a little girl there with her mom, and she sees me, and she asks the mom, "Why do her eyes look like that?" And this mom looks at me, and in earshot of me says, "Because she hates her mother."
Story time! That was so dramatic, I loved it. So, my mum's deaf, right? You all know this. If you don't know this, welcome. Hi, I'm Ronnie. If I used to play up at school, I was a little shit at school, right? Teachers hated me, right? And the teachers, they'd go, "Oh, don't make me call home, don't make me call your mum." I'd sit there, do it. They'd call my mum at the end of the school day. By the time I got home, you know, most people, they'd think, "Oh shit, I'm in for a beating." My mum's deaf, so I had to answer the phone. I'd answer the phone, I'd put on a voice, and I'd say, "I'm so sorry, you got the wrong number." Got Miss Johnson on the phone, she's going, I'm so sorry. Sorry about that, sorry. Mum's like, "Who is it?" And I'm like, "Nuisance call." I'm such a prick. Anyway, basically, it didn't last forever. They ended up sending my mum an email about my behaviour, and I did get a beating, but we moved.
Yo, what's up, guys? My name is Dan, and the other day I texted my best friend who lives 2 hours away from me that he was a stupid bitch, and he was like, "Say it to my face." So I was like, thumbs up to that. I'm gonna do that. So I grabbed my bag, waved goodbye to myself in the mirror, and I was on my way. The first leg of the trip was super boring, so I just jammed to music.
Oh, and she said, "All my love's wrapped in shades of red."
So I'm about halfway there. I stopped to get some Taco Bell. Enter crunch sound effect.
Also, look at this pretty overlook.
Reminds me of my mother.
Let's get back to it. The last leg of the trip, I had the Wii Shop theme music stuck in my head. Then I saw this really pretty sunset right before
I made it.
Then I knocked on the door and said it to his face.
Stupid bitch.
Confession time. I just broke up a couple. Here's how I did it. And by the way, it wasn't on purpose, and it probably was for the best. So, context. I am a magician. I perform on stage, and I do mind reading. Sometimes I ask people in the audience to think of embarrassing memories, and I guess what they are. So that is the context of the story. Imagine that you're in the front row of my show, and I ask you to think of an embarrassing memory. That is what happened in this story. There was a couple sitting there, and I invited someone up on stage. The guy was a bit weird, and unfortunately, he thought of something even weirder. I quickly realised on using my powers of mind reading and trickery that he was thinking of the time that he got caught playing with himself in his maths GCSE examination. Now here's the thing, I don't have a choice. I have to reveal what he's thought of, because if I don't, I look like I've just got it wrong, and then it's not worth paying the ticket price to come and see my show. So I had to tell everyone. So I, the performer, announced to the entire room what the man was thinking of. They all died with laughter. He seemed creepily happy with it, and when I looked back at his partner's seat, she was gone, and I have since heard from my manager through a text that they have split up because...
Story time. So on New Year's, my friend and I went to a house party, and she ends up leaving to go to the bathroom. But when she comes out like 3 to 5 minutes later, she's just like, "Guys, help!" So like I look at her, I'm like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "Shh, I broke the toilet." I follow her to the bathroom. The toilet bowl is filled to the rim with water, and there's just 3 pieces of toilet paper just chilling on top. And I'm like, what did you do? She starts freaking out, and she's, the people before me didn't flush. I thought it was okay to flush, but it wasn't okay. So one of our other friends comes in, here's the story, and she's like, okay, hold on, I'm gonna go get the house owner. And my friend starts freaking out, being like, no, don't tell him, he's gonna kill me. Our friend gets him anyway, and he comes in unbuttoning his shirt, he's just like, did someone call a plumber? And then he sees the toilet, and he's just like, what did you do? So she tries to explain it to him, and he's like, okay, shut up. And then he fixes the toilet. But she was like still freaking out, like almost crying.
So I went on a Catholic retreat as a teenager. On the last night, we were all gathered into a room, and one by one, the peer leaders took us away. When it was my turn, the peer leader grabbed me and put a blindfold on me and pulled me away. And before I could comprehend that, I was pushed up against the surface, and they lifted up my arms. And before I could comprehend that, they pressed a cold, hard, metal, sharp object against the palms of my hands. And before I could comprehend that, a man whispered into my ear, Jesus sacrificed himself for your sins. What will you do for him? And before I could comprehend that, they took the blindfold off, and I found myself in a pitch dark room in front of a mirror surrounded by candles, and I was looking at myself being crucified. On an unrelated note, I'm no longer Catholic.
Story time. I did an agility test for law enforcement, right? There's like 50 people there waiting to do the course, and the instructor there was like, all your names are put in random order. We're gonna call you up so you can do the course individually. And I'm like, God damn it, I'm gonna wait for 50 fucking people before I go. The instructor looked at his board and was like, first person, Taylor Cernoli. And I was like... But anyways, I was running through the course, and by the time I got to the dummy drag, when I tried to lift the dummy up, my fingernail fucking bent. Oh, that shit hurt so goddamn bad. But anyways, I finished the test. I went to go pick up my bag near the group of people there, and one of the fuckers, he was pretty big, was like, so you had trouble picking up that dummy? And I was like, yeah, I hurt my finger, and I didn't even realize that I was flipping him off. And everyone around me was like, and I just played it off like, good luck, big chungus.
I saw this lady walking up, and I was like, I knew she was going to say something. And so I thought about recording it right as she did it, but I was like, nah. Anyways, she says something. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I'm just hammocking. She's like, well, I don't know what that is. And then started walking away. And then she turns around and walks back, and she said, aren't you cold? So I got a blanket. And she said, well, stay warm. And then walked away, and she said, I thought I was the only crazy person in the world. Also, what you mean you don't know what it... I just told you what it is. What you mean you don't know? You guys, I knew this lady was going to call the cops. If this cop car stops and someone comes and talks to me, I'm going to go off. Look, there they go right there. There they go.
I have a story, but I only have 60 seconds. I'm gonna talk so fast. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm directing Mamma Mia. We had auditions. This kid came into audition. Big frat boy vibes. Big frat boy vibes. So we're like, okay, what's he gonna sing? Opens his mouth and sings some Spanish Botticelli song, and I know it was Spanish because one of our cast committee people speak Spanish, and she understood every word. She's like, that was really good. His dancing audition was fine. He was like 3 seconds behind, but we were like, okay, he's a dude. They don't dance always well. Sorry. Didn't think anything of it until his friend made his callbacks and was like, hey, you want to know the story behind this? And we were like, yes. Apparently the morning of auditions, his friend had called him and was like, hey, you still want to come audition for Mamma Mia? And he was like, I mean, I'm 5 shots in, but let's go. It was 9:30 in the morning. So this man came and auditioned drunk, and then apparently he had another song picked out. It was like something from Footloose. Got in the audition room and went, no, I'm gonna sing the ending song from Step Brothers. And he nailed it. We cast this man. We knew he was drunk and we cast him. And then he dropped our show. But we are baffled by him.
So basically this is what happened. A few of my coworkers found out I was sleeping in my car. I thought it was no biggie, they thought otherwise. They decided they wanted to do something about it. So a few of them got together and talked about it, which I don't mind. And they booked me this hotel for 7 nights. They also went to the local grocery store and bought me a bunch of groceries. But they also went to Ulta and bought me, like, cosmetic stuff as well.
And one of my coworkers actually took me out to eat today and paid for my meal. I got to meet her son. He's pretty cool. So thanks to them, I'll have stuff to eat besides something that comes out of can for $1. I have a place to stay tonight that isn't the back of my car, and I have stuff to make me smell good. So thank you to my work family.
Never have I ever, literally 5 seconds ago, gotten out of the shower to go to your sister's room to get a phone charger, and when you walked into your sister's room, you said, "Hello?" in an indie voice, because you do that sometimes, but you also happen to be crawling on all fours, because you're home alone, so you can do whatever you want. But then there was a plot twist, and there was an electrician fixing a light bulb on a ladder in your sister's room because, you know, you just moved into a new house, and he got scared and fell off the ladder because you said hello while crawling on all fours. And then he had to grab the charger and walk back out of the room because he didn't want to say, "I'm sorry." What? No. Hello? Like, I'm serious.
So I was talking to my straight best friend the other day, and then I told her that I was having trouble sleeping and that I needed to find a top to help me sleep better. And this cutie pie, she's like, "I thought you liked sleeping in old t-shirts." Honey, that's so cute.
So I'm at the store, right? Checking out, I'm in the line. My elbow knocks over a lollipop, and I'm just like, frick. So obviously I go down to pick it up, but also at the same time, the kind man behind me was also picking it up, so we interlock eyes. And I was just like, oh, it's 2020. Kindness doesn't exist. He's not gonna help me. So as I go, he still goes. So we're still staring at each other, and for some reason, my brain and his brain was just like, we're both getting this, we're doing it, and our fingers fucking interlocked as our eye holes are still connected. And then we lift up, still connected with a lollipop intertwined between our fingertips. And then we both, for some reason, boop, we put it on the rack together. And I was like, that was fucking weird. And I look at him, and I was like, I'm sorry, dude. I'm so awkward. And then he looks at me, and he's just like, what the fuck? Kind stranger. We just shared a very intimate, magical moment of lollipop hand-holding sharing, and you do me a sigh? What the frick?
Do you ever do something, like, really poorly thought out and embarrass yourself, and then you have to live with the consequences? Well, this is what I did last Tuesday. So I walked into the library to go study for a test that I was probably going to fail, but I looked into the cafe and I saw my friend, and I was like, oh, nice. And being the genius that I was, I decided to go over and push his water bottle over. After he looked up at me, really confused, I kind of realized that, this wasn't my friend, and that I pushed over some random guy's water bottle, and he looked at me, and he was like, what? Really confused as to why this fucking e-boy looking ass was like talking to him. And I was like, what you reading, bro? And he looked at me and he was like, my textbook. And I was like, oh, nice. I never told him that I didn't know him, and I just kind of walked away acting like he was the one who didn't recognize me.
I never mentioned it.
The whole time.
Have.
So this one time before I got fired from Best Buy, this lady came in and she was like, hey, and I was like, hey, and she's like, do you guys sell iPad Pros? And I was like, yes, of course, this is Best Buy. And she's like, well, do they come in pink? And I was like, no, I don't think they come in pink. And she was like, well, do you guys have cases for them in pink? And I was like, if you look directly next to you, there's an entire fucking aisle, and I could see a pink one right there. And she's like, well, do you think that the iPad Pro would be a good fit for my daughter? And then she points to a newborn baby in her cart, like a newborn baby in her cart. And in my head, I was like, why on earth would you buy $1,000 device for an infant who can't even use it? And I saw my manager look at me, and we're supposed to sell. So I was like, yeah, it'd be a great fit. And so I sold this lady an iPad Pro for her infant's daughter, and she seemed happy, but the dad looked very disappointed.
Okay, usually I know I hop on TikTok and I always tell weird stories, how kids are really weird. But yesterday one kid was like, Mr. Brian, I made you a present. I'll bring it to you tomorrow. And I was like, okay, I bet it's some drawing I'm going to throw away. She shows up today, she has her little jacket, and like opens it and goes, I made this for you. Look, it's a little hand. Look, it's for me. It's so precious. I literally melted. I was like, and then the rest of the day I was like, you can do whatever you want. She was like kind of laying on my leg or like grabbing onto me or wanting to piggyback. So I was like, you can have it all. Look, it's so cute. I love it.
So I was having a pretty good day at work until a customer came in and ruined it for me. This one wanted to argue a lot, and normally when customers argue, I entertain them before I destroy them. Kind of like how a cat plays with their food before they eat it. This one in particular wanted to get the employee discount for being a regular and big customer. He told me to look up his purchase profile, which I said he didn't want me to do, but he insisted I did it because I knew who he was, and I looked it up, and his average transaction is $3 fucking. So instead, he told me to give him the employee discount, and that the owner was there the last time. The owner wasn't there the last time, it was me. And then he said the manager approved it, and I got tired of it, so I said, guess what, bitch? I'm the manager!